What's up, everybody? Andrew Sloss with Sloss Career Coaching. This is part two of my executive presence video. In part one, if you haven't watched that, go back and take a look at that. That was where we focused on the first pillar of executive presence, which is how you act. Executive presence is going to be important for you if you're looking to move up in your organization, regardless of where you are now. Being able to show that you possess executive presence, whether it's a little or a lot, will be a requirement as you move up in an organization. And the more you move up, the more executive presence you are going to need to have. So it's very important that you work on it. And any C-suite executive will tell you that executive presence is something you will always need to be working on and refining and developing. But it is something that can be learned and developed. So if you don't have it now, don't worry. You can definitely develop it. And I hope these videos will help you do just that. As we discussed in the first video, there are three pillars of executive presence. There's how you act, what you say, and how you look. And in the first video, we talked about how you act. The second one, we are going to talk about how you speak or what you say. In other words, we're going to be talking about communication. Communication is the second pillar of executive presence. And just like with the first pillar of executive presence, there are several parts that fall under the communication umbrella. The first one, obviously, it's pretty obvious. The first and most important part of communication is you have got to have superior speaking skills. If it's something that doesn't come natural to you, you can take courses, you can read books, you can practice, as Allen Iverson would tell you, and you can develop superior speaking skills. Lots of courses out there, good courses, bad courses, so do your due diligence, do your research, but superior speaking skills is a must. Number two, you have to be able to command a room. So when you're doing a presentation, you have got to command that room, or as I like to say these days, you have to command the Zoom. So oftentimes you're going to be presenting in a Zoom call, and you have to be able to represent yourself in a way that commands the room, commands the Zoom. And there's a number of different ways that you would need to do that. You need to make sure that you have a good Zoom setup, for instance. And we'll get into that in a later video. But it's amazing to me how many people that I see doing presentations, some people who are very happy in the organization, their Zoom setup is not very good. So you need to have a very good Zoom setup as well as part of commanding the room. So that was number two. Number three, you have to listen and learn. Not only do you have to listen to the people around you, to your clients, to your customers, to your superiors, and to your peers and those below you, but you also have to learn. You have to be willing to learn. You just can't listen. Listening without learning isn't going to cut it. You have to take in the information that you're listening to and adapt it and apply it to whatever the circumstances require of it. So listening and learning are very important. Number four, you have to be able to read your audience. Again, whether it's on Zoom, which is a lot more challenging in Zoom because everyone's in a little different box, but definitely when you walk into a room, you have to be able to read your audience. You need to be able to figure out and adapt to what's happening in any given situation. You need to understand that if you come in with a PowerPoint presentation and people just aren't engaged, you need to scrap that PowerPoint presentation. You just need to move on and wing it and don't go off the presentation. Most people don't want to sit and watch a presentation anyways, but that's just one example. So you have to be able to read your audience, understand what's happening, and then you have to be able to change on the fly whatever you're doing to adapt to whatever's going on with your audience. Number five is one of my favorite ones, and this is something that's developed more recently. You have to be able to convince people of your authenticity, or you have to telegraph your authenticity. These days, people want to know that you're authentic. I think with all the social media that's going on out there, there's a lot of fake people. There's fake influencers. There's real influencers who are fake. People want an authentic experience. They want to talk to someone who's authentic. So as part of your communication style, you have to come across as an authentic person. So that's going to be a very important part. And I would imagine in the coming years that being authentic is, excuse me, is going to move up the list of importance and authenticity. Last but not least, you have to be able to monitor and adapt your body language. Body language is very important. If you are presenting, you have to be big and bold and stand up straight with your shoulders back and your head up, and convey a certain sense of importance through your posture. If you're slouched and you're humped over, or you're always looking this way or looking that way, not looking people in the eye, especially on Zoom, looking at your camera when you're on Zoom is so important. Don't be looking at the boxes on the screen. You need to be looking at your camera so people feel like you're looking them in the eye. And that can be hard to get used to. I see it a lot with clients I work with. They don't look at their camera. Or their camera's down here or over there. Your camera should be at the top of your computer. But you have to monitor your body language. It's very, very important. So again, this is the second pillar of executive presence, which is communication. And within communication, you need to have superior speaking skills. You have to be able to command a room. You have to listen and learn. You have to be able to read your audience. You have to be authentic, not just appear authentic. You have to actually be authentic. And then you have to be able to monitor and master your body language. So again, I hope that's helpful. Love to hear what you think about executive presence. How is your communication skills? I want to hear from you. Put in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.